Blaine Fowler, Uncle B. Blaine, welcome back to Studio B.
What's up, Blaine?
How you feeling after a 1-5 start, man?
Oh, I mean, not good. Not good at all. It's hard to lose to teams that you match up fine with. You know, those are the disappointing things. We talked about this a few weeks ago. You lose to Wisconsin, you go and watch the film, and you go, well, hey, they're way better. So Boise State, I think, is very similar in talent to BYU. And people go, how can you say that? But they're executing well. You know, Boise State executed. Their quarterback played well. Rippon's a really, really good football player. They have an identity of what they want to do, and they've done the same thing for years and years and years, and they just executed better. And BYU was minus in turnover margin again. And when we talked last week, I said, you know, BYU probably needed to be +1, maybe if they were even, but if they were negative in turnover margin, I didn't feel like they had a chance. I thought they'd be closer. And you know, BYU starts off with that interception from Grant Jones, and I'm thinking, okay, here we go.
Well, BYU scores a touchdown off of that turnover.
So much momentum, and then you think they're going to be okay in this, but then and it's not just the turnovers BYU's had this year, it's the type of turnovers that they had. You can go back to Utah State a couple of weeks ago. They're turnovers that just kill you. They're turnovers that give the other team a really short field where they don't even have to get anything to get points, or they're pick sixes, or they're quick changes where your defense has no chance to rest. You fumble the ball after you've driven it 60 yards into the other team's territory, and you turn it over, and your defense has had a chance to gather itself, and you go back out. They got a great chance of getting you the football back without points being the result. But
it's like a punt.
So there's turnovers, and then there's turnovers that are really kill you. And it seems like BYU has had more of those type of turnovers in these games against teams that they match up pretty well with than they can to win. And that's been a big problem. To me, it's one of the single biggest factors for them.
Our Twitter question today, who is the best option at quarterback for BYU moving forward? What do you think?
Well, Ty yesterday said that, you know, that Tanner gives them the best chance right now. And I think that's a product of they've invested a ton of time in him. They felt like he had the best grasp of the offense, you know, coming in. He was very limited mobility-wise last week, so they had to take some of the offense out. You know, he was, I don't know, what did he say he was? Maybe 60%.
Yeah.
And so with Ty playing him at 60%, what does that tell you? What it's telling you is that even though they think a guy like Joe Critchlow is amazingly skilled, which I believe he is. I've watched him. He's exactly what fits into this program. He's a big, strong fireballer that can make every throw on the field and makes quick. You know, he's a confident kid. He throws downhill. But they obviously feel like he doesn't know the offense well enough that they would play him in front of a guy that's at 60% physically. So that's a message to us of where they think Joe Critchlow is. Now that they've played Joe Critchlow, I feel like they've got an obligation to say, okay, instead of a redshirt year, you're going to get an opportunity to play, and we're going to develop you this year. You are going to get experience so that next year, if we need you to be the guy, you're going to be able to be the guy. Or later in the season, if we need you to be the guy, you can be the guy because now you've got some experience and everything doesn't look like it's just flying around in front of your face like it does to a freshman.
That's quite the statement because, let's be honest, we've been waiting for Tanner Mangum to get here to be the guy. And now we're questioning if he's the guy based on a lot of things. And it's not just the injury of the schedule. It's been the play on the field, which is a bit shocking. Tanner Mangum was the next guy for BYU in that quarterback lineup.
Well, and you need what they need Tanner to do is manage the game. They need him to never be a catalyst for turnovers or for bad decision making. The most important thing that a quarterback can do is make good decisions. To get the ball out to the right people at the right time. And I mean, you look, the most physically gifted guys are not the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, can we make a case that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah.
And I believe that. And he's not that physically gifted. His arm strength's not crazy big time. It's adequate. It's good. He's unbelievably accurate with a football. But Tom Brady gets the ball up on time to the right guys. He's an unbelievable leader, and he distributes the ball. And it doesn't seem to matter who he's got out there. They're always better. You know, receivers that come in there on trades or sign as free agents, all of a sudden they're great when we're with Patriots, and it's because he distributes that football. So that's the part of the game that Tanner has to get better at. He can make all the throws. Now it's compounded because he's not healthy, and Tanner, he likes to run around. You know, he likes to run around, and he makes plays when he's running. He's always been a playmaker on the move, and that's limiting him right now, and it's limiting his ability to get reps in games to get better. But the thing that he has to knuckle down on is he has to be better with his decision-making. And when he makes a read, if it's the right read, he's got to get the ball out. Like on some of these bootleg passes before his injury, he turns, and they always used to teach us when you snap your head around, if the number one receiver right there is open, get him the ball right now. There's no need to even look any further downfield. In fact, fans will go, oh, the backside post was wide open. And Holmgren would say, I don't care if the backside post is wide open. This is a play I'm calling to get 5 yards or to get a first down. You know, snap your head around and get it out to the guy that's open if your number one read is open. And we've had a tendency to want to read that downfield and go other places. So the ball has to come out to the number one read on time and in a good spot. And then the check downs need to be check downs, not check ups. So what does that mean? When I'm dropping back to throw, if I'm reading the right side of the field and I go through 2 progressions and nobody's there, my mind now, that clock in my head should be ticking, and I should be like, I got to get this out to a dump down receiver. A dump down receiver is like a tight end sitting at 4 yards, or an underneath receiver crossing at 3 yards, or a running back on a swing route or a spot route. Is to get it out to a short receiver where I can put velocity on it and there's not a risk of an interception. Too many times this year, we're checking up. So we're going 1, 2, 3, there's our reads, and instead of getting it out or taking off with it, if there's nobody to release to, we're trying to throw it 20 yards down the field, 5 seconds into a route. When the defensive backs are reading the eyes of the quarterback, they're watching the route combinations, and they're just sitting there. They're going, man, I hope he comes back here and throws it. I hope he comes back here because I'm going to sit right here, and if he comes back here, I'm stepping in front of this thing, and I'm taking it back to the house. So you got to take what the defense gives and get it out, and when there's something not downfield, you check down to an easy route. We have not done a good job of that at the quarterback spot this year.
The key is to make the defense react and not allow them to be proactive, right? And when you get 5 seconds into a route, that's when they can be like, I'm going to take a chance because I'm reading his eyes right now.
Yeah. If he comes back here, I'm going to step in front of this thing. Because they have that much time to think about it, right? And so sometimes on 3rd and 12, and I know everybody gets mad when you don't throw the ball 12 yards downfield. Like, why would you throw it on 3rd and 12, 5 yards? Because everybody's covered downfield. I'd rather throw it to a 3-yard route and hope that that guy can make somebody miss and get a first down than force it upfield and throw a pick. Because, honestly, I'd rather punt the football and cover the punt and try to switch field position than throw a pick and give him a short field.
100% yes.
And so the decision-making has got to get better. And Tanner knows that, and Ty knows that. Hey, believe me, Joe Critchlow knows that because they watch film together. That part of the game has to get better. And to me, along with improving the run game, those are the 2 things that can change this offense as we go down the back stretch of this season, is establish a run game which takes some pressure off the quarterbacks, because play action when run is going, way easier reads and receivers are more open.
Why do you think Ula Tolutau, who had 9 carries for 38 yards against Boise State Friday, Kalani Sitake said, we need more of an offensive identity, and I think his name is Ula Tolutau. Why do you think he didn't get the ball enough? Is he not trusted in the pass game? Because once BYU got down and had to throw the ball more, he just wasn't in there.
Yeah, and I do think that that's what it is right now. He's young. Remember, he was coming back from an injury, so his reps were limited. And whether a guy plays or not sometimes depends on the package that you're in and his mastery of that package you're in. Sometimes a running back doesn't play because they don't trust him in pass protection. Just because they don't know the protection calls, and the line makes an audible, and somebody comes through and kills your quarterback. And you go, well, I can't play him on 3rd and long because he can't get the protection right. Now, I don't know if that's the case with Ula, but sometimes you go, why is that guy not on the field every single solitary play? And if he's not part of a package, it's typically because he hasn't mastered that part of the package yet. Well, they got to get him up to speed because he needs to be an every down back as much as possible. And maybe he's not a 3rd and 13 back, of course, because they have other guys that can do that. But they need to find a way to have him understand what's going on so he can be a bigger part of every package. Because he certainly, through this number of games, through 6 games, is the best and most consistent run option. He's got the best vision. And here's the thing. He's going to get quicker. I was talking to Kalani about this last week, and he's like, here's the shame of it. This kid should be redshirting right now and getting in shape. But he came back. He's only been back since summer, and he had an injury, so he suffered through that, and they're forced to play him because he's the best they have. They need to get to the point where they're recruiting over the top of running backs, and they go, well, we got 3 guys that can play. Think Wisconsin, right? Yeah. The reason the freshman's playing at Wisconsin is because he's ridiculous. Not because they have to play him, because they have really good juniors and seniors. They have juniors and seniors that are better than anybody we have right now and could play. But they're having to play him because they've got to recruit better at that position. They need to get more guys like Ula. And then I think having Hall hurts because he's a veteran guy that has good vision and is a little more explosive than anybody that BYU has. He runs downhill and he's got great quickness and he's decisive with his cuts. Having him out hurts. And he's also really good in the pass game. And we forget that he got hurt and we haven't seen him for a few weeks. If you can get him back, I like, we always talk thunder and lightning, right? So you can have Ula thunder, going to rumble and hurt people when they try to tackle him. And KJ's the kind of guy that could be that lightning that could be the burst to the outside. They brought Riley Burt back over on the offensive side to try to give him some type of a speed and explosiveness as well. So we'll see what happens because you kind of need both.
Okay, let's say that BYU, and I'm simplifying football down to two categories in terms of how BYU, I feel, will find success. And that is, one, they win the turnover battle, and two, they finally hold on to the ball longer than their opponent, which they have not done against an FBS opponent. Either they haven't won the turnover battle or time of possession battle against an FBS foe this year.
A loss in all those games.
Let's say both of those things happen against Mississippi State. What kind of chances BYU have to win that game?
They have to win the turnover battle bigger than you think. Probably.
Okay.
So it's got to be like they have to be like +3.
Okay.
+2 or +3. And that's going to be a big task because Mississippi State has a veteran quarterback that doesn't have a penchant for turning the ball over. And so it's going to be hard. So point one, BYU can't turn it over. That gives them a shot right there if they just don't turn it over at all. And
at least the standard's low.
Then Nick Fitzgerald's not going to just throw a stupid ball in someplace and try to throw it into traffic. He just doesn't do that. So they're going to have to get some tip balls. They're going to have to get some pressure. And if they can't get to him, and here's the problem. He never gets sacked. It's not because his offensive line's the top 10 offensive line. It's because he runs away and throws the ball away.
He's super mobile.
Yeah, he doesn't throw it. And he throws it away in a spot that nobody can get it. And he comes back to play another down, or he runs with it.
Yeah.
So you got to keep him contained and just get in those throwing lanes. So when his arm raises up, you get your arms up. Tip ball interceptions, breaks on the ball in great coverage, smacking people and putting the ball on the ground, forcing him to fumble. They can't rely on Fitzgerald to play poorly to give them the turnover margin that they need. BYU has to force some turnovers. They need to force some fumbles. And, we talk about this offense a lot. This defense has to find out a way to be a little more aggressive because they're not creating turnovers on the defensive side either. And I know that Lysis talked to him about it. Come on, guys. Now, part of that is last year they had Kainakua in the back end. The guy's a freak.
They had Harvey Longy as well.
He's an NFL guy, but he's a turnover creator. A guy just had this great sense of where to break on the ball and how to come up with a big play when he needed to. So you lose a guy like that. That's a big portion of the turnovers they created last year. So somebody's got to step it up, and they got to figure out a way. So I'd say they need to be, maybe they're in the game at -2. I think they have to be -3 because Mississippi State's a very good football team with a fine quarterback. And so that's the key. And they've got to be able to run the football so that this time of possession thing that you talked about is a little more balanced so the defense has some rest. And they've got to get some big plays. So BYU's not going to go down there and grind it out, 14 plays series, and just go down without making any mistakes because they haven't shown us they can do that. They have costly penalties at inopportune times. They need to get some big plays in the offense. And that will come if they can establish a run game and get Mississippi State to crowd the line of scrimmage and maybe get a play action over the top. So, yeah. Do I expect them to win down there? No, I do not expect them to win. If they do, Mississippi State's going to have to be off their game a little bit, and BYU's going to have to create some magic. And those turnovers for Mississippi State need to be the kind BYU's had, where they give BYU a really short field or somebody gets a pick six, or they need to be what I call terminal turnovers. You turn them over, and it just costs you. It just kills you.
Yeah.
That's what Mississippi State needs to do for them to win. But then the rest of the year, they'll be physically better than everybody they play. Then they don't have to be perfect to win the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Blaine. If you want more of Mr. Fowler, watch After Further Review tonight. I know you've prepared well for that.
Ready to roll.